Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the channel World of Wrestling, here today to discuss about AEW Rampage September 24th, 2021 review. This was a solid episode of Rampage. Not as good as Dynamite, but it wasn't a terrible show whatsoever. Pretty average matches that took place on this card. The CM Punk match, I have to admit, was actually a good one. The only problem with the match was the small botch by Will Hobbs when they did a Hurricanrana off the top rope. Other than that spot, the rest of their match together was actually a very, very entertaining match. I think Will Hobbs did well, and CM Punk helped bring him to a good match. Brought him to a good match, I should say, not bring him to a good match. It's past tense. Excuse me, I had a few beers today, so if I sound a little tipsy or what have you, that's the reason why. Anyway, my attitude about the show was it was a solid show. I thought it delivered for what it was. I knew it wasn't going to be as big as the Dynamite episode was, but I do have some issues about Dynamite from this past Wednesday. They delivered a very good, entertaining show. I complimented AEW for the work that they did on Dynamite. From the Bryan Danielson match with Kenny Omega and everything else on that card. But they didn't do very well in the ratings to my liking. Now, maybe to other people, they may say, oh, they did fine. They went over 1 million. This was a pay-per-view-like show. And this was only a 1.2 million viewers total. They fell short to Monday Night Raw even in the demos. They got 639,000. WWE Raw got 642,000. That is not good. If I was Tony Khan right now and I was looking at that, I'd say, we did a good job with the show. What happened to the fans? I feel a little concerned about that, but at the end of the day, guys, the show was excellent. It was a lot of fun to watch for the Dynamite Grand Slam. Rampage, I think they should have done without Rampage doing a Grand Slam for them. I think the show should have just been a 1-hour show, especially with this being 2 hours at 10 o'clock. It was a bit much. I don't think that it was really necessary to put Rampage on a 2-hour show. With it being at 10 o'clock. If they would have been competing against SmackDown and did it at 8 o'clock, I would have been okay with that. I would have been the one watching the fucking show over a SmackDown episode, which, by the way, I never even watched SmackDown. I got to catch that tomorrow when I get some free time and give you guys a review on that if I can even find the time to do so. Big UFC pay-per-view coming on tomorrow. For UFC 266, 2 major championship fights, which I'm totally interested in, and looking forward to that show. So I'll be catching that at 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Yeah, let's get into it. Like I said, CM Punk and Will Hobbs started off the show and everything. I was very satisfied with what I had to see in this match. I think they did a good job here, except for that one botch situation that took place on the top rope. Other than that, it was a very good match. I honestly think that match should have been the main event. CM Punk's a big name. I think people care a lot about CM Punk. I did see an article where they said that CM Punk ain't much of a draw based on the situation that took place on Dynamite. Folks, I'm sorry to tell you, but CM Punk was not performing at Dynamite Grand Slam. He was performing on Rampage Grand Slam. He only had a promo segment. I'm sure that went over very well with people. And I'm sure people actually watched that segment. What probably happened is after the Bryan Danielson Kenny Omega match, people just started to turn off the channel because the only thing they really cared about for Grand Slam was Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega. And after they got to see that match, they were kind of like, well, the rest of the card is pretty predictable. Nobody predicted Ruby Soho was going to win that match against Britt Baker for the women's championship, so I doubted that was going to take place. I think they kind of messed up with the whole match card. They went the wrong way with this. Personally, I think that the women's championship should have been on the co-main event or starting off the second hour. And Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega should have been the main event. Plain and simple. I don't think Britt Baker needed another main event opportunity. This woman has had loads of fucking opportunity in the main event on a Rampage or a Dynamite. I think they fucked up there with that match. It was deserving to be the way of kickstarting the second hour on Dynamite. And Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega should have been the main event. And they probably would have been able to sustain that audience throughout most of the entire show, because I'm pretty sure the first 30 minutes of the show had a lot of people tuning in and wanting to see what was going to happen. Other than that, I don't think there was anything special about Dynamite Grand Slam, to be quite frank with you. And that's not to be harsh or mean or anything. They seemed to be like average, regular televised type of matches. So I think that's probably the reason why we got a 1.2 million viewers for this episode of Dynamite, which, again, really shocked the fucking hell out of me. Now, Rampage was kind of like a watered-down version of what Dynamite was. That's really what I kind of got from this. Rampage, like I said, kickstarted CM Punk and Will Hobbs. I thought this was, again, good match. I'm not going to reiterate the same thing over again and bore the shit out of you guys. So let's move forward from that. We get Jade Cargill and Thunder Rosa cutting promos about the issues between them and Nyla Rose. That was nothing special. I didn't really care for that. I don't know why Thunder Rosa has any issues with Jade Cargill unless something was happening on Dynamite, on AEW Dark or some shit. But that's all I can think of. Alright. Oh yeah, there was that issue with the whole attack on Thunder Rosa backstage, so that's what I forgot. That was on a Dynamite episode a couple of weeks back or so. The Super Click, Adam Cole and the Young Bucks versus Christian Cage and Jurassic Express with Brandon Cutler and Good Brothers. This was an excellent match. Very, very entertaining match. Thought this should have been the fucking main event of the show, not Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston against Suzuki and fucking Lance Archer. But yeah, this match was excellent. A lot of fun. A lot of action took place. Fast-paced wrestling. Very good six-man tag team wrestling. I can imagine Adam Cole and the Young Bucks being the first ever six-men tag team champions. I think they will be the first to actually hold those titles once those titles come into an inception with AEW. Guarantee you. These guys have great chemistry, number one. Number two, I can imagine them being great six-men tag team champs. Inner Circle, Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus the Men of the Year, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. This absolutely fucking sucked. I hated this ending. It was so WWE-like booking. It was pathetic. I don't know who the fuck actually could like the ending of this. We had Lambert interfering in this fucking match, distracting not Lance Archer, what the hell am I saying? Jake Hager. He got distracted, got rolled up by Scorpio Sky, and got the 1, 2, 3, and that's how the match ended. Then they had the entire American Top Team from UFC show up and attack Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, and Jorge Masvidal did a running knee to the forehead of Chris Jericho and made him have a severe cut on his skull. He's had some partial bleeding taking place. Fucking unbelievable shit, and really a pathetic way to end the match, though. I did not like the ending. I thought it was fucking terrible. Who the hell would actually book an ending like that? That was just fucking pathetic. I mean, you had a good match going on here, and then you end it with that? Come on, man. You can't do that shit. It's fucking bullshit. But yeah, the Men of the Year get the win there. The Super Click between Adam Cole and the Young Bucks defeating Christian Cage and Jurassic Express. They called it the Boom instead of the last shot or the long shot or some shit like that. Last shot. I don't know why they changed the name The Last Shot to the fucking Boom. That sounds so fucking ridiculous. Utterly retarded, but whatever, man. Whatever. I guess maybe WWE's getting so fucking petty. They say if you go ahead and say last shot as his finishing maneuver, we're going to take you to court and sue you. Just like they were going to do with Daniel Bryan, now known as Bryan Danielson. What a fucking joke. Anyway, we later get a confirmation that Adam Cole is going to face Jungle Boy in a one-on-one match on Dynamite. That is a fucking hell of a match. A fucking hell of a match. I think that is going to be outstanding. People are going to see that Jungle Boy is a hell of a fucking talent if they don't already see him as a hell of a talent. So, keep an eye out for that match. That's probably going to be the match of the night. Guaranteeing you. I'm predicting that. That is not a prediction. Actually, I'm going to change that. That's not a prediction. That's a fucking spoiler, like Paul Heyman says. This is going to be a spoiler. That is the fucking match of the night. If you don't believe so, you're crazy. So, that's all I have to say on that. Lucha Brothers tagged with Santana Ortiz. I can guarantee you Santana Ortiz are going to challenge the Lucha Brothers for the tag team titles at some point. Guaranteed. Most definitely. They defeated the family office, the Hardy family office, I should say. Private Party, the Butcher, and the Blade. This was all over the place. A lot of multi-man matchup going on here. A lot of men getting involved all at one time. At the end of the day, the Lucha Brothers and Santana and Ortiz, excuse me, I'm trying to fucking talk. I think I can do it. Get the victory here and walk away victorious. So that's how that match ends. Pretty much what takes place here is Santana Ortiz pin Quinn with a fear. The Santana Ortiz pin him with the street sweeper by getting Mark Quinn attacked with that move and getting the 1, 2, 3 there. And that's pretty much how the match ends. Overall, the action was back and forth. Great overall action between these two teams. And I have nothing really to complain about. The crowd was heavily into this match. They actually liked that. Plus also the Super Click, Adam Cole and Young Bucks versus Christian Cage and Jurassic Express. That was also another good match. The first 3 matches were great. The first hour was actually really good. It's the second hour that got really bad. I mean, it really wasn't all that good. I mean, you had Anna Jay and Penelope Ford. Went on way too long. The match absolutely sucked. There was nothing entertaining about this match. This was shit. Anna Jay loses by the Brass Knucks. Penelope Ford once again picks up a victory with that. Miro also attacked Fuego del Sol and Sammy Guevara. He threw Fuego del Sol off the rampway through a table and also put Sammy Guevara in a camel clutch, game over type submission, and was really, really torquing on Sammy Guevara's back, and it looked painful as fuck, guys. I sure as hell wouldn't want to be Sammy Guevara actually doing that maneuver. That looked painful as hell. I wouldn't have been able to be able to deal with that kind of pain. That was fucking unbearable. By the way, after the match with Penelope Ford winning her match, they were attacking Anna Jay. Tay Conti, I should say, came to the rescue, but she was also beaten down. So what took place next was Orange Cassidy, Chris Statlander, and the entire Dark Order show up to save the day and even out the odds. The problem with all this is, after they evened out the odds, got rid of the Hardy family, they're standing in the middle of the ring, and half of the Dark Order is trying to shake hands with their fellow members, and the ones that are, supposed to give them a handshake, they just walk away. This was Evil Uno, Stu Grayson. These two guys kind of walked off. I think somebody else went off with them as well. Colt Cabana was a little confused by the whole, reaction towards the handshake thing. He was really like, what the fuck's going on here? They're apologizing. They're extending their hands to say, hey, we're sorry, let's make amends, and they're refusing to, make amends with them. This is definitely looking like the coming of Bray Wyatt. Most definitely. I can imagine that might be the case. There's been reports that next week on Dynamite he probably will show up. I don't know if that's the right decision. I think they should save that for a pay-per-view. I don't think this should be something that should be just put on television right away. Maybe some other people would have a different opinion about that. No, maybe they might have a valid point to why they should do it on television. If you want to say ratings, okay, I can admit maybe you're right about that. But let's get real, guys. They don't need to get desperate for ratings. They're doing fine. My only reason for what I said about this Dynamite episode, it was basically a free pay-per-view show in front of a very large audience. I mean, they had 20,000 plus there in capacity watching this show, and they were doing it in 4 fucking consecutive hours, because Rampage came immediately after Dynamite when they saw it live. So honestly, it is what it is, but I think that you take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, it was somewhat of a failure, not in the sense of the booking decisions, except for the placement of the card. I would say they maybe messed up on that. I still say that Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega should have been the main event, personally. But regardless of all that, they didn't do a bad job with the show. It still pulled over 1 million, which is important. They weren't even pulling over 1 million at one point. They went ahead, spiked up to 1 million, then dropped under 1 million. So they still remain above 1 million. And that's an important factor. But you'd think they would at least hit at 1.5 with what they had for their card. And unfortunately, it didn't hit that. But hey, it is what it is, guys. I don't know what to say, but I wouldn't get desperate for ratings. I'd save Bray Wyatt for a crowd on pay-per-view, personally. But it remains to be seen, so we'll see what they do. Unless, they do something really amazing and it makes sense to put Bray Wyatt on camera in front of a Dynamite episode. If they do that and they make it make sense for them to put him in this situation right now, I would understand. But still, at the end of the day, I think maybe he is best saved for pay-per-view. But, they could always say, hey, Evil Uno comes out and he says, look, we're going to go ahead and we're going to have a newest member of this group to get us back together, get us on track, and that person will be made known on Full Gear. And there you go. You could do it just like that. Have a segment where it's just a straight up promo segment on the Full Gear pay-per-view and let him cut his shit and do his stick. That's what I would do, personally. It would get people interested and want to buy the pay-per-view. People would start thinking more than likely it's going to be Bray Wyatt. Let's hear what he's got to say. Let's see what kind of character gimmick he's got going on here. It should be interesting and it should be shocking because he always seems to come up with something creative about his character. Him doing this with the Dark Order is definitely going to be somewhat different. I don't think we're going to see any similarities like the Wyatt family type of thing, and I don't think we're going to see him doing anything like The Fiend at all. I think that is long done, killed off, dead. We're going to see a totally different Bray Wyatt on this show with a totally different name. So expect something different from Bray Wyatt when he comes into this company. And it should be entertaining because he always manages to overcome what held him back. Always. So keep an eye out for that. I might be wrong. They may just put him right on fucking television just so they can get a boost of ratings. Which, if they can make sense of it at the same time to help themselves, make a good amount of a ratings boost, hey, I'm all for it. But I still say pay-per-view introduction of Bray Wyatt would be the best decision. So that's just how I feel. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about that one, and I'll get back to you on that as well. Main event time was lights out match between Miro Suzuki and Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. I am getting a little fed up of Kingston and Jon Moxley tag teaming together in hardcore matches. I want to see Jon Moxley when he first came into AEW. Since he's lost the world championship to Kenny Omega, he has went totally down the fucking toilet. Yeah, he's having wins. He seems a little bit of important here, but he's taken a complete step back. And I'm not particularly liking it. I want to see the Jon Moxley we got in the beginning of AEW. I want to see him possibly maybe get a second run with the World Championship somewhere down the line where he's not taking a young person's spot of becoming world champion. What I wouldn't mind is Jon Moxley getting his second run as world champion and then losing it to MJF, reverting back to what happened back on last year's All Out, where he screwed MJF out of the title, used a move that was in the contract that he wasn't allowed to use, which was the paradigm shift. And he managed to win that match anyway with that maneuver without the referee seeing anything. So that would be kind of a cool way to give the title to MJF by putting the title back on Jon Moxley somewhere down the line at some point. And I think with him doing this Eddie Kingston thing, it's not really working out. I don't particularly care for the fucking interviews with Mark Henry either on Rampage as the last segment before the last match. I think it's utterly ridiculous. Every fucking episode we got to see this. I don't particularly care to see Mark Henry do an interview with a bunch of guys about their fucking upcoming match that they're going to be doing in the main event. It is really kind of not needed. It's just an extra few 30 seconds to a minute for them to use up time before they actually put them in the ring. I'm not particularly a fan of that very much. I understand they want to utilize Mark Henry as much as they possibly can, but every single week, it's getting a little fucking old, personally, in my opinion. It's not a guaranteed fact that it's getting old to everybody else. Maybe it is. And if it is, then I'd have to say it's definitely a fact. But personally, I don't really care to see Mark Henry doing any kind of commentary. He really doesn't bring anything to the table, in my opinion. I think Paul White does a better job. From what I've heard him do with commentary. But whatever, man. It is what it is. I'm glad, though, that Mark Henry's got some respect from AEW. He's not being treated like a second-class citizen, which I'm happy for him on that. He's doing something he actually seems to genuinely love to do. I don't think he's just doing this for money. Because I'm sure he made plenty with WWE, and if he was smart enough, he saved his money, but who the fuck knows? Anyway, the main event, Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston won the matchup, with Eddie Kingston delivering several kendo sticks to Lance Archer's head while Lance Archer was inside of a trash can, and he just was beating him senseless with it. Lance Archer has dropped completely. Lance Archer losing the U.S. Championship to Tanahashi has hurt him badly. He looked like he was going to be doing something important. Unfortunately, he looks like a fucking loser. His fucking slogan is everyone dies, yet he's the only one dying on every fucking match. So someone please explain to me what the fuck the deal is with Lance Archer. Why is he always on a losing streak, yet he's got a fucking gimmick that says everyone dies? Sir, I think you ought to change your gimmick to Lance Archer just dies every single time and comes back to life to die again. I mean, this is fucking ridiculous watching this guy lose all the time. I mean, what the hell does he need to lose? Why couldn't Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley lose? What the hell they have to lose? But it is what it is, guys. They also had Homicide show up to give them a somewhat of an advantage over Suzuki and Lance Archer. And that's how the match ended, with Kingston hitting multiple kendo sticks to the head of Lance Archer with his head inside of a trash can. And that's how the match went off the air, with them standing there victorious inside the ring. And that's pretty much it. So, at this time, guys, you know what to do. I am extremely tired, so hit that like button if you like this video. I appreciate you guys sticking through and listening to me talk here. I know I'm not sounding 100% full of energy. I sound probably like I'm half dead and tired as fuck. That's because I am. It's 12 o'clock, going on 12:30, and I greatly appreciate you guys tuning in for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel, of course, and leave a comment down below. I'll always get back to you on that. By the way, I want to shout out to Sean Buckley for commenting on my Dynamite episode. Sir, I am very happy you were able to show up at that show. I'm sure you had a blast. He mentions in his comment that it felt like he was back in the Attitude Era. Bro, I got to admit, man, Dynamite and AEW as a whole is a totally different ball game. Most definitely. He also mentioned Rampage was a blast, and I'm sure he had a blast as being a live fan. But for me, I thought it was an okay Rampage. It was slightly better than most Rampage episodes outside of the very first one and the second episode with CM Punk. But the crowd did seem a little dead. So no offense to you, Sean Buckley. I'm sure you had a blast, and I'm glad you didn't waste your money Because if you did, I'd start scratching my head. What the fuck is AEW doing at this point? But they're not doing anything wrong. They are doing things correctly. They are listening to their fans. They care about their audience. And that's what's important. So, again, hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. And I will reach back out to you guys and answer your comments and share my opinions with you guys as always. Thank you again. Have a great night, guys. Bye.